Good evening. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. As always, we are live casting on not one but two platforms simultaneously. Here on YouTube, you get to read along with the guided meditations. And when you have a question, you are welcome to type it up in the chat area. You're also welcome to introduce yourself to me in the chat area and let me know how you're doing or what your greatest need is at this moment. However, if you'd like to ask me a question during class and you're terribly extroverted and would like to ask me face-to-face, rather than driving all the way to Southern California, all you got to do is whip out your smartphone, go to Instagram, meditate.jedi, join the live stream, smash the request button, and most likely you'll be able to ask me your question face-to-face in real time. You don't have to, but that is an option. To those who are watching this live stream as a replay on Instagram, I will do my best. All the links that I mentioned, their counterparts are found in the link tree in my bio. So you will not be left out, I assure you. What is the topic of tonight's class? This is the 9th lesson wherein we explore meditations for interpersonal mindfulness and release. If you find value in these live streams or podcasts or blogs or class materials, numerous and all available for free, then please consider supporting this channel using either one of the links in my link tree on Instagram or one of the links on YouTube in the description area below the video. If you cannot do that at this time, no problem. You can support the channel simply by subscribing, and if you're on YouTube, clicking the notification bell. On both platforms, you can click like and write a comment and share it with someone you think may appreciate it. All those things help the algorithm to help these teachings find people who are actually looking for them. Cool. Now that we've done that, let's get on with the practice. Going to begin by opening up tonight's practice text. And as you can see, it is written, this version that we see before us is written as a Word document. The version you'll be downloading is a PDF that has actually been formatted to be read upon your smartphone in a horizontal configuration. I feel a bit like Kilroy right now. But for the sake of your sanity, you'll want to download the free Kindle app so you can navigate the PDF and bookmark the PDF without losing your mind. A mind is a terrible thing to misplace. As we gaze upon the heading of this page, recommended reading, and we notice the bit that is highlighted, we can infer that the recommended reading for this lesson is the blog, The Fall of Emperor Palpatine. The easiest way to access it is through the downloads page whose link, you guessed it, can be found below the video in the description area. And don't worry, for my friends on Instagram, it can also be found in my bio just by opening up the link tree, which sounds like something you might do in high school biology class, doesn't it? So let's get on with, and so when it comes to tonight's lesson, let's get it on. That was my version of the claymation TV show Celebrity Deathmatch from the 90s. If anybody remembers that, let me know in the chat area. I'm kind of a wussy. That show always made me sad. As we gaze upon the heading on this blank page, we see interpersonal feelings. So how's about a bit of the old context? The Buddha did not invent meditation, but he did invent mindfulness meditation. And he found it useful to organize the plethora of things one might notice into 4 categories: body and feelings and mind and phenomena. So in this context, what context is this? This is the context established in the Buddha's first lesson, his first discourse. He talked about stress. There are many stresses humans are subjected to, but we have the ability to make them worse. How do we do that? We make things worse by straining to push some things away, straining to pull other things towards us, and straining to hold on to other things. This was illustrated by the Buddha when he taught the 8 flaws of the world. I like to call it the 4 basic dualities. And so in the last 2 lessons, we were looking at the dualities of scorn and praise, and the commonality they share, their common denominator, is that they pertain to our interpersonal relationships. Now, many trolls have stomp and snort and insist. If you were truly spiritual, you would not give a flying fuck about what mere mortals think about you. Nope, that's not true. The Buddha never taught that. Every mammal, every healthy mammal with a fully functional midbrain is wired to care about their fellows, about the members of their tribe, or the members of their village, or in these days, our co-workers and neighbors. This is a survival instinct. Our ancestors, or I should say predecessors, who did not have this instinct did not live long enough to pass on that genetic trait. We are the inheritors of those who really made sure they had good relationships with their tribesmen and fellow villagers and the like. So our job is not to ignore how we feel about others, or how we feel about how others feel about us. Our job is to be aware of it and to harness it, to fuel our love and to fuel our wisdom of letting go. So 2 nights ago we dealt with compassion. Last night we dealt with love. Tonight we're going to focus on the wisdom of letting go. 2 nights ago we focused on shoving our tendencies, our impulse to shove away the scorn of others. Last night we explored our desire to reach for the love and approval of others. Now we're going to explore that very subtle part of us that simply clings to the status quo, that clings to our emotional habit energies, if you will. Whether they are pleasurable, whether they are painful, whether they are glorious, or whether they are grotesque. Just thinking about an action movie that came out many years ago where Donald Sutherland's character said, "Better the devil you know than the devil you don't know." And many people take that to heart and just really, really, really clutch madly at the emotions in their life. Now, our job is not to repress our emotions, but it's certainly not to clutch madly at them. Our job is to be aware of them and then find very skillful methods to let go of them. Not shove them away, that's just more neurosis, but just let go of them. Hopefully you'll discover that in tonight's class. The Buddha was not big on self-hypnosis or affirmation or really believing really, really hard. He was not big on ritual, or in fact, it is recorded that he once said or taught that it's far better to spend just 1 hour in mindfulness meditation than an entire lifetime practicing ritual. Well, now that we know what the Buddha did not teach, well, how is Buddha's method to help us to let go of that which we tend to cling to? Contemplations. No, not highfalutin, pseudo-intellectual malarkey. Trenchant, earthy, easy meditations. 3 of them are known as the 3 marks of existence, or in an ancient dialect of Northeast India, Tilakkhana. We're going to explore the first one right now. As we gaze at the heading or the superscription, we read, the stress of grasping at our interpersonal feelings. This stress, which is underlined, is known as dukkha in Pali. And the reason I keep mentioning these foreign terms is so that you get the idea that I did not make this stuff up. If you think I'm clever enough to make this stuff up, thank you. That's quite a compliment. So, let us pretend that my fist represents our brainstem, and my palm represents our midbrain, and my other palm represents our forebrain. I am clearly running out of hands. Anyway, this thing here that represents our brainstem, it's wired to not squander our energy. For the majority of the existence of hominids, we have lived right on the edge of starvation. So we are wired not to unnecessarily stress and strain. And when we become aware that we are stressing and straining, we tend to back off of it and let go a little bit. Not necessarily consciously, but subconsciously, viscerally, intuitively. As we gaze at the left of the screen, we see in small font, in-breath. Below that, we see the word or the phrase, out-breath. So these are what I like to call contemplative notation, very similar to musical notation. They make it really easy for us to contemplate. For instance, this infers that when we notice our body breathing, we silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question, how grasp feels. And don't worry, I'll explain that in a minute. And on the left here, when we read out breath, this infers that when we notice our body breathing out or exhaling, we silently and mentally recite the word relaxing. So the Buddha did not teach concentration, rigid and active. He taught the opposite, mindfulness, which is soft and acquiescent and vulnerable. So we do not control our breathing. We simply notice. We do not analyze our breathing. We passively, non-analytically are aware of what's going on. This might seem weird, but if you play with these exercises 5 minutes every evening and 5 minutes every morning for a week, it will feel like old hat. So on the in-breath, we ask a rhetorical question. And remember, the power of a rhetorical question lies not in our efforts to answer it, but merely in our silent and mental recitation of the question in harmony with our breathing. How grasp feels. Now, feels is short for feelings, and grasping is the way we hold on super tight to them. We don't have to answer it. It works better if we don't try to. On the out breath, we silently and mentally recite the word relaxing. In addition to silently and mentally reciting it, we do our best to actually physically relax as best we can in that moment. The good news is that our brainstem is already wired to relax in harmony, whoopsie, where's the cursor, with each out breath, with each exhalation. And so by silently and mentally reciting the word relaxing while breathing out, come on, there you go, we are harmonizing our intention with our factory installed instructions. So if we've discussed contemplative notation, we've discussed the actual contemplation. What's all this stuff over here? Well, if the stuff on the left was contemplative notation, then this would be tabulation notation, which is just a fancy way of tricks not to lose count. Oh, sure, you could use a mala, but mala can get lost or stolen or broken, or in the age of fascism, confiscated. I'm very grateful that a few decades ago, an agent Bengali taught me the principles of crease counting. Let's face it, folks. If somebody confiscates your fingers, you's in a heap of trouble. Okay, just like when you work out at the gym, you got sets and you got reps. We're counting sets on our left hand, reps on our right hand. I'm not sure if I'm a mirror image or what, but I'm going to trust that as a fully matured adult, you know the difference between your left hand and your right hand. Okay, so we read here that we are to perform this exercise for one set of 4 breaths. We're going to count that one set, one upon our left hand. We're going to touch the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger's tip, just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to rest each hand palm up upon its respective thigh, towards its knee. Our head is over our shoulders are over our pelvis, our feet are flat upon the floor, assuming that we're sitting in a chair. We're going to count 4 breaths upon the 3 creases and tip of our right little finger. For upon each finger there is a lower set of creases, a middle set of creases, a higher set of creases, and of course, a tip. We're going to advance our right thumb during each inhalation. So let's play with this right now. How grasp feels relaxing. And now we turn to our second contemplation of the evening. This time we're going to view our feelings through the lens of change. This is known as anicca in the ancient dialect of Pali. We're going to take a jumbo rhetorical question. We're going to chop it in half, where we're going to silently and mentally recite the first half during the in-breath, and silently and mentally recite the second half during the out-breath. How could feels always change? And of course, one of the very cool things about impermanence is that it requires absolutely no faith. There's nothing to believe in. We see change all the time. We see the sunrise, we see the sunset, we see the seasons change. There's never been a summer that was not followed by an autumn. There was never a midnight that was not followed by a dawn. We shall count upon the 3 creases and tip of our right ring finger. How could feels always change? This brings us to our third contemplation, wherein we view our tendency to grasp upon our feelings through the lens of anatta, which could be translated as not self. So we ask, how could feels not be me? And now we're not trying to answer some deep metaphysical question. We're simply trying to disrupt our habit of defining ourselves by our feelings. Let us count the four repetitions of this exercise upon the 3 creases and tip of our right middle finger. How could feels not be me? Return now to our fourth and final contemplation. We shall be counting this upon the 3 creases and tip of our right index finger. Notice feels relaxing. Now this is a much easier version than the first one. The first one tonight was how grasp feels relaxing. Now we're just noticing our feels. This is us advancing upon the path of letting go. Notice feels relaxing. We've completed 4 repetitions, 4 different types, one set of 4 different types of contemplation. That's hard work. If our brain was a dog, it would be panting right now. So we're going to give our brain a rest, not through more contemplation, but now through something completely different, meditation. Meditation has many names. Some people call it Sati Passaddhi or Sati Bhavana. Some call it Zen or Chan or Mahamudra or Mahasandhi or Trekcho in Tibetan Dzogchen. Frankly, it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it Ralph for all I care. Some of my teachers refer to it simply as watching the play of mind and relaxing into its release. I'm fond of the term spontaneous awareness meditation. So we're going to use words very similar to the last exercise, only we are replacing the noun feels for the pronoun this, as we see right here. So in preparation, we're going to touch the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left ring finger. Just like that. Now, you might say, dude, this is pretty vague. And the answer is, thank you. It's supposed to be. I'm not sure if you're a fan of South Park, but do you remember Big Gay Al? I'm super! Thanks for asking. So, we use this vague pronoun to label whatever we experience, whether it's external or internal, whether it's pleasurable or painful, whether it's glorious or grotesque, whether it is sensation or flavor or scent or sound or sight, whether it is emotion or intention or cognition or recollection or imagination. Whatever we experience, we do not analyze it, we simply recognize it with the phrase, notice this, relaxing. We're going to do this for a big whopping 16 breaths. Let's begin by counting upon the 3 creases and tip of our right little finger. Notice this, relaxing. Our right ring finger, notice this, relaxing. Our right middle finger, notice this, relaxing. And we conclude with our right index finger. Notice this, relaxing. That concludes the guided meditation portion of this live stream. And now it's time for me to insult everyone's intellect by reading to you. But first, some lemon water. If you're watching this on Instagram, the text for the 9th lesson is available for free download. Just go to my bio, open up the link tree, and follow the shortcut for class materials. Here we go. In Buddhist Tantra, it is often taught that within our bodies of flesh, blood, and bone lay energy channels that fundamentalists invest inordinate amounts of time and energy visualizing as tubes comprised of light. It is said we have a blue central channel, the width of an arrow shaft, that begins in the lower abdomen, ascends about a thumb's width before the spine, piercing the navel wheel, the heart wheel, and the throat wheel, or chakra if you prefer Sanskrit. As it ascends into the skull, where it arches forward, brushing against the crown wheel at the fontanel before terminating at the eyebrows, just between and above them. And yes, this is different than the Hindu chakra system. This actually predates that system. There are 2 side channels. The moon, or left side channel, is white, the width of hay or straw, and begins at our urethra. Brushes past the most sensitive part of either our clitoris or our penis, climbs up the left of our central channel, winding once around the central channel just below the navel wheel, winding thrice around the central channel just below the heart wheel, winding once again just below the throat wheel, and then winding once just below the crown wheel before terminating in the left nostril. The sun, or right side channel, is red, also the width of hay or straw, and begins in our rectum. Brushes past either our G-spot or prostate, climbs up the right side of our central channel, winding once around the central channel just above the navel wheel, winding thrice around the central channel just above the heart wheel, winding once around the central channel just above the throat wheel, and then winding once again above the crown wheel prior to terminating in the right nostril. As liberals upon the path of matriarchy, none of this needs to be memorized or even visualized. Our right channel could be stimulating, so we impede it when it is time to go to sleep. by closing our right eye and reading through our left, and also by laying upon our right side when we wish to fall asleep. Conversely, our left channel could be sedating, so we impede it when it's time to start our day by rolling over to our left side and laying in the fetal position for a few moments as thoughts of the day's tasks begin to clarify, like friends emerging from a fog bank. Upon rising, we could also close our left eye and read through our right as we sit upon the toilet to further wake our bodies. And that, my friends, is that. As you consider this live stream, as you perhaps play with these exercises from the text you download for free, questions may arise. Jot them down. Ask me either on Instagram through a direct message or on YouTube during tomorrow night's live stream or in a comment. I'll do my best to get back to them, either in a Instagram blog or a podcast or a live stream. Excellent. Well, my friends, I thank you for your time and your kind attention. Before I part with you, I'd like to close every class by reminding you of a Tibetan story of a wealthy man gravely ill who spent his life fortune acquiring a healing potion. Though he purchased it, he did not consume it. He went to bed and did not wake up. Likewise, if we have the very good fortune to receive the teachings but do not apply them, we are equally as foolish as that fellow in the story. Although I don't want anybody to wake up dead or zombified. Please don't eat my brains. My friends, I'll see you tomorrow during tomorrow night's live stream if all goes well. Until then, may you and yours be happy and